Hello there. Welcome to the Dungy Dungeon, or as I like to call it, my garage. Well, today, kids, what we're going to talk about is track tension. So, I know what you're saying. I already know everything. Well, that's fine. These are the Chinese toys that we all have. So, this goes for the mini skid steers and the mini excavators that we all have. Okay? So, I'm going to try to make this real short, simple, easy, explanate, go through it. The reason why I'm doing it is because I've had quite a few questions that people have sent me, and I just thought, hey, you know what? I just might as well make a video on it. So if I can help anybody, that's what this video is all about. All right, as usual, let's get rolling. Okay, what is all this? I know you're saying, Travis, what is this? Well, let me tell you. Okay, off on the side, you're going to see the two versions of how to keep track tension on your machines. It's either going to be the nut or it's going to be the grease. Okay, now this is just kind of like a simple configuration of the front end idler assembly that puts the tension on your tracks. Okay, so you have your idler wheel, idler frame, you have a spring that sits in here, kind of keeps the tension on it, and then in here is either the shaft that has got the nut keeping the tension, that's screwed in and keeps the tension on the idler, or it's kind of the shaft that goes in here and puts pressure with grease inside the idler frame. That's it. It's fairly simple. Now, this is not that complicated. You can take it all out. You can go through, you can clean it, you can work on it, you can do a lot of stuff. But that's pretty much it. These are your bogies, your bottom rollers, whatever else. Then your drive motor here. If you got a CRT, your drive motor's here. You get nut. If you're CRT, then you got a little bearing back wheel, or you know what I'm talking about. Enough about that crap. Let's just get into it. So basically that's it in a nutshell. That's your whole assembly. This is just a top view basically of what this is, the side view of. Okay. Pretty much explained everything. Yes, I am bringing out Magic Notepad, but I just want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Okay, let's get to the problem at hand. Everybody's talking about having tracks popped off. Why are my tracks popping off? Well, here we go. So you're having tracks popping off. It could be quite a few things. It could be, one, the age of the track. It could be losing its tension. It could be just getting old, worn out, stretched out. Kind of look at it like you do an old set of tires. You know, if you notice that start seeing cracks and stuff like that, or you start seeing that it's delambing, it's time for new tracks. And it could be because they're just worn out. They've been out in the sun for who knows how long, etc. But the thing is, they've just lost their trackability. Okay. So another thing is just to make sure that when you do have that happen, don't rush right back into putting that track on, because you might get another 5 feet and all of a sudden pop it right out. So here we go. When you go in there and you start going ahead and let's say your track's off, one, get this up off the ground. If you can, as much, get it off the ground, the side that you are working on. Don't use the bucket. Hydraulics bleed down on everybody's machine, and it's a safety thing. If you can, get it with whatever means you can safely, just to get it up off the ground, the side that you need to put the track back on. Okay? So start doing your inspection. Inspect. Make sure, like on the LRTs, they're having a problem where the drive motor is sliding forward because the bolts were either A, not tight enough, B, they were warped, C, they're just crappy bolts. Okay? Check and make sure that your motor's not sloppy. Then come up here to your idler assembly. You can take this front piece off, but in here where your shaft is and everything, you really don't have to take it off. But your biggest thing is just to push on it and see if it goes back any further. If it does, then maybe you've lost the seal for the grease, or this nut's starting to get loose and the shaft's gotten loose, or something in here has caused this to come back. Another thing is check and make sure that your bogies are rolling. Now, they don't have to spin. Just make sure that they roll. That's all you're doing. You're just wanting to make sure that they still spin. Another thing is up here, on in between your track, let's say you got your deck here, your frame. Make sure that there's no excessive amount of dirt and stuff getting up in here. Make sure that those have not caused kind of like a hump, and then as it's coming down here, it pops off. The other thing is make sure that the guides aren't popping out. Some people, when they have overtension, those cleats, those little things that guide and go over the idler, they get popped out. So you might have popped one out and not even known about it. Check that. Okay. The other thing is kind of check your frame. Make sure that your frame's not twisted inward. Make sure that it's still, everything is straightened down. Now, I don't have the frame on this, but this is pretty much what you want to do is check and make sure that your front idler and so you're getting ready, you want to make sure that everything is uniform. You don't want to have a shot of maybe your bearings going out here, maybe your drive motor's got an issue back here on the motor and the seals, or if you had the CRT, the same thing up here. So you want to make sure that this is pretty much straight down. It can have a little bit, and when I say a little bit, maybe no more than an eighth to a 16th to an eighth of an inch off. You want it as true as possible. That's also where you need to really check that frame. Some people are having frame warpage issues where the frames used to be straight, now they're kind of canted and twisted. You might have to pull it off, re-straighten it. That's another thing that a lot of people are having issues with. And then, like I said, just basically do a good check over just to make sure before you go ahead and start putting the track on. Okay? Now you decide to go ahead and put the track on. Make sure that your idler is all the way back. Make sure that your drive motor, depending on which one, is secured and not moving. Start from the back end. If you have the CRT, come back this way. Bring everything up here to the idler. Some of them are going to be to where it's going to be really, really close. I mean, it'll actually be just on this side of the wheels and you can't get it over there. And the CRTs, they're actually, you can almost drape it right over with no problem. Maybe a little prying, that's okay. What you can do is you can take a bar and then just kind of work it around and pry it. It's kind of better with two people because you can use the drive motor to drive forward and then put like a couple little bolts or something in there that'll kind of help guide it and hump it on over that area. That's the best way to explain it. Also, Groundhog's video that they have for a very similar setup is really good. I'm not going to take away from their video. Their video is very good, and it'll probably be down in the description. Okay? So I'm sorry I didn't make a video on that, but it's just what it is. Now that you got it all set up, everything's there, run this, even though you haven't put any tension up here, run it a little bit just to make sure that you can look down and make sure that your track is somewhat uniform. Now go ahead, start putting the tension on. When you do the tension, just make sure that when it starts squeezing up like this, don't go really tight. You want to be able to push down at least an inch. So let's say this flat spot right here, you want to come at least an inch down here, almost touching the frame here. Now you're going to say, well, Travis, you can't do that with the rollers, the bogies down here. That's okay. You can go opposite. You can push away from it. If you've got the room, go this way. Now in the CRT, you can go right about in the midsection and do a little bit of deflection there. Everybody does it a little bit differently. Everybody has their own little special thing they like to do. I like to go with 1 inch down and 1 inch down. That's the way I do my QH12. I'll do the same thing for my KTT. I've never thrown a track, knock on wood, cardboard, but it was wood one time. I haven't thrown a track yet. And I've got over 20-something hours on my QH12, and it's been fine. So you've got all that. You're putting the tension on there. Run it. Run it at least a minimum of 5 times. Forward, a minimum of 5 times back. That will tell you whether or not your tension is really going to change. The reason why I'm telling you this is if you were to put this back on the ground, false tension, you'll be thinking either A, it's just I'm putting all this pressure on here and it's not really changing up here, but what has happened is it's stretching this down back down here. The weight's on it, it kind of does a real kind of like a rubber band effect. So this will be still showing signs of slop. Or you could have where this is showing you a lot of tension, but until you roll it, it won't set itself. So anytime you do track tension, you want to make sure that that is up off the ground, okay? Because you can get a false one. And it also cause you an issue with overtension, and we'll get to that in a second. Then once you get that all done, go out and go play for a little bit. Come back, lift it up again, check your tension again. If your tension's fine, then you're good. If your tension is showing either A, you've got a little too much, or B, not enough, then work it that way. Now, all you have to do is either take out a little grease, add a little grease. Take a little nut, add a little nut. It's real simple. Now, here's where the problem really hits a lot of people. You overtension. You put stress here, here. You could put stress up there. You could put stress over here. The problem is the idler, you're starting to wear these bearings out. Same time, you're putting too much grease in here, you're going to blow out the seal. You'll blow the seal here, or you can blow the seal back here in the inlet. Okay? The nut, you could literally strip the nut and the bolt configuration that goes in here. Back here on the motor. The motor will sit here, and let's say this is the shaft. You could do this, you could just be pulling tension on here. All of a sudden what's happening is you're working the inside of the motor a little bit tension. Over here is where the seal is, and next thing you know, you're burning up the seal. Same thing can go with the drive motor up here. And then on top of that, you could put excessive amount of tension on here for the rear wheel and cause an issue with the bearing. And then what can happen is you could forcibly cause a toe in or a toe out issue on both of these. Then all of a sudden you're setting off kilter, or you could just twist it, you could warp it. There's a lot of things that can happen with an overtension. Be mindful, listen to your motor. If your motor starts sounding like it's whining and it wasn't, and you were just doing track tension checking, stop, kind of take it back apart, double check and make sure that that motor is not getting bound up. The other thing is when you're starting to go forward and back and you're on the ground, if it seems like it's chattering or if it's really rough to get it to go forward, then you've probably got an overtension problem, okay? Another way to know is like, treat it like you do car tires. If you're dealing in dirt, sand, snow, stuff like that, you want a little bit more footing on the ground. And how to do that, you let the air out of the tire, it gives you a little bit more footing. Well, it's the same way with this. If you want a little bit better footing, you don't want all that tension. You do want a little bit of slop. The other thing is, remember, my other videos I've told people, don't tank drive these. These will burn up, this whole system will burn up. And I don't mean burn up like catch on fire. They'll break down. You'll wear out the bearings, you'll wear out the drive motor, the bogies, the track, everything. And what I'm talking is tanking. So let's say that you're going to go ahead and go forward. And you go back. Okay, well, we got that. Now you do this. So then all of a sudden you make the machine do this. No, that's not the way these things are. It puts stress on the frame. It puts stress on this whole assembly. When you drive one of these, doesn't matter if it's the excavator, it doesn't matter if it's the skid steer, you gradually, so you put this one full, like let's say you're going to turn this way. You make a nice gradual turn, okay? So you just take a little bit, you go forward here, and then you just kind of walk it around. You want both to be spinning in the same direction. It puts a lot less stress. It takes a lot of stress off the system. But if you go ahead and you just do like that with just one motor, these ain't designed to do that. We know they're not engineered strong enough. This is not like a Toro. This is not like your typical Bobbies or your Deeres or any of those, or Komatsu or whatever. These, you got to be kind of a little bit gentle with these. These will help keep these components here a little bit longer. You won't wear them down as fast, okay? I hate to harp on that, but I've had to I've had to reschool a couple of people on that I've went and worked on their machines and looked at them and stuff for them, and I see how they operate, and it's like, oh, you can't do that with those. Oh, I've been driving shit since I went back when Jesus was walking the planet. Hey, that's great. That's fine. That's okay. But that ain't this. Okay? I'm trying to keep y'all from a magic headache. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Nope. That's pretty much it on that. Oh, and then your tracks. If you're going to get it, there's a lot of places online that you can get it. You just got to be kind of cautious of who you buy from. Just make sure they're reputable. Also, check the coloring of the tracks. If the tracks come in kind of like a kind of brown hue to them, they've been outside for a while. They're starting to get a little chalky. You might want to put some Armor All or something on there to kind of help them so they don't age as fast. That's just one thing. All right. Now, I know what you're saying. Travis, what is this? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to answer that one real fast. This goes to anybody that is a machine shop owner or machinist, or anybody that's got free time and some bronze laying around, or, you know, whatever. This might make you a cash cow individual. Okay. This primarily is going to go with the SLs, the EGs, the YSRTs. Won't go with any of this over here. But if you notice on some of these, they have the triangle configuration like this, and they have that small baby wheel that sits back there. The problem is these have those roller bearings or ball bearing configuration. They don't have a roller bearing, but even if you were to replace it, you're still going to have the same problem. And that problem is when you're sitting here and you start turning over time, you basically are starting to work the bearing and the shaft onto each other. And whichever is going to break first is going to be the one that goes first. And it'll probably be the cage of the bearing will be the first thing to go. That's what everybody's burning up. First thing you see, it looks like bearings exploded. Well, that's what it is the cage is giving up the ghost, and that's it. Well, the one thing that's causing this is these can't stay straight. They're starting to turn. So over time, that C-clip that sits here is basically being pushed at its limit. Same with that bearing that's in there is being pushed at its limit, and they go. If there was a way that somebody could design and put in a bronze or bronze bushing in here with just probably 100,000th of an inch gap from here to here and from here to here, etc., to where it would cause this not any kind of side play or any kind of axial playing twisting. It'd just keep it stationary. I bet those things would last a lot longer. It's just me. I don't have one. I don't have one around here to look at and show pictures and stuff, but there's enough people that are had them on the groups and forums. But I think if there was a way that somebody could make that right there where it would go right up against that lip and right up against that frame, I think they'd last a lot longer. All right. As usual, this is Trav. I hope this video has helped you, and I hope you all have a great and safe day, and thank you for watching.